The streets of San Francisco are known for their twists and turns, but they have nothing on the twists and turns of the season IZOD IndyCar campaign. With 5 races remaining, the finish line in sight, the stars of IndyCar have taken the Golden Gate Bridge over into wine country for today's race. About a half hour north of the bridge, you'll find Infineon Raceway, nestled in Sonoma's Golden Hills. Most weekends, people travel this way to sample the local vintage. This weekend, they'll toast the world's fastest drivers. Among them, those involved in a championship points battle. Others involved in recent battles on and off the track. And even one who is a local giant. Welcome to IndyCar Central on Versus, presented by Verizon, as we're less than an hour away from today's 173-mile race. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Before we get started, we want to say that all of us in the IndyCar community are thinking about those of you on the East Coast who have been affected by and will continue to be affected by Hurricane Irene, now Tropical Storm Irene. Well, when they announced the 2011 schedule, we noticed that between the 4th of July and Labor Day, there were 5 road courses and just 1 lone oval track race. Well, that 1 lone oval track race was run 2 weeks ago in Loud, New Hampshire, and boy, did it stand out. Lap 206 of a scheduled 225-lap race, the yellow flag came out for light rain. When the race tried to restart for the final few laps, several cars lost control. Leader Ryan Hunter-Reay was passed by Oriol Servia. IndyCar President of Competition Brian Barnhart to lead to the restart and determine final positions would be based on what they were before the restart accident, giving Ryan Hunter-Reay the win. And that was the end of a very eventful day, right, Lindy?
Yeah, it seems everybody's talking about the finish there, Bob, but what about lap 118? Pole sitter Dario Franchitti smooth sailing until, well, he just wasn't. He had contact with Takuma Sato on a restart and broke his streak of 43 consecutive finishes. Meanwhile, Will Power finishes 5th. He shaves 15 points off Dario's points lead, and we will talk to both of them about it coming up.
It was a chaotic day in New Hampshire, and both Will Power and Dario Franchitti were very much in the drama.
The IZOD IndyCar Series from New Hampshire is green.
Dario Franchitti takes the lead.
Trouble in the corners. They come out of turn number 2. Conway collects Graham Rahal.
The rain is now beginning to fall.
Green, green, green.
Dario Franchitti once again takes the lead.
Trouble. The 82 of Tony Kanaan, the 22 of Thomas Scheckter. Big contact, and Tony is on his lid.
You gotta ask Mark and Scheckter what the hell they're thinking.
We're back to green.
Race leader is into the wall.
Dario Franchitti, the car has turned 180 degrees. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Oriol Servia, Scott Dixon, James Hinchcliffe, and Will Power, your top 5. Power has seen his fortunes in the championship suddenly reversed dramatically.
Caution on the course as the rain picks up just a bit.
The 1 to go at the line, it's still raining. There's no way, man. It's raining, it's wet. Seriously, it's raining pretty good. Now we see the pace car's got the wipers on. Not much we can do. Green, green, yellow, yellow, yellow.
Oh, and a spin all the way in the start. We've got cars going everywhere.
Your leader is car number 2. Okay, leader is now 28. He's in turn 4. Leader's 28.
We are going into a red flag situation.
It was wetter than when they threw the yellow earlier, and they threw the green. I mean, it's just...
You came down, you appealed to the officials.
I tried. It doesn't matter.
I was begging him, please do not go green. Everyone was saying it. He makes such bad calls all the time. They cannot have this guy running the show because there was no condition to race in. Shame on him.
Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to be your race winner.
It was a mistake on race control's part, and the only right thing to do and the fair thing to do is go back to the running order prior to that restart.
I don't know. To me, we won the race.
Wish it was in a little bit of a different way, but we'll absolutely take it after the year we've had.
Oriol Servia's team, Newman Haas Racing and Target Chip Ganassi Racing, appealed the decision. It was heard by a 3-judge panel in Indianapolis on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, the verdict came down. And it essentially said that, first of all, Brian Barnhart had the authority to render the decision that was made. And the panel agreed that his decision to abort the restart and set the final finishing positions according to how they were running before the attempted restart was indeed the right decision. Now, in addition to all that, on Thursday, Will Power was fined $30,000 and placed on probation for the rest of the season because of the gesture he made to race control. Well, with all of that out of the way, Kevin Lee, we had a first-time winner at Loudon as far as 2011 is concerned.
And for the 5th time in his IndyCar career, it took us a little while. Ryan Hunter-Reay joins us on our set. We can confirm you did win that race. You had won 4 other times. I think it's safe to say that was probably the strangest.
Absolutely the strangest, man. It was a bit of a stressful week. We had to really go over everything, and the situation under question was all happened within 0.6 of a second. So we had to really chop up every 1/10 of a second of that, and we went through it, and we, in the end, showed that cars were in fact spinning prior to the green flag waving.
What are you thinking going into that last restart?
I felt the same way that Will and all the other drivers did. We couldn't believe our ears that they were actually thinking of going green, because on the visor there was more rain showing at that time than there had been the rest of the race, even when we went yellow prior to that. So it was a shock, and really I was just worried for everyone's safety, including myself. And that situation was unfortunate, and certainly race control made a mistake by attempting to go green under moisture conditions like that. But in the end, we just had a great race car. That race dominated the second half of the race, and it was a lot of fun.
So you had to wait to find out for certain. Tell us what the approach was from the team standpoint in that appeal.
Well, we just had to go to the facts, right? So we had to break down the situation that was being challenged, which was that attempted restart. And we also went to the rule book. But the biggest thing for us at the end of the appeals hearing was the fact that there was a car 90 degrees to the rest of the field before the green had come out. And really, it comes down to the fact that we're not supposed to go racing in the rain on ovals, and it's not supposed to be about trickery. It's supposed to be about skill. And there was a car sideways crashing when before the green had been waved, and trust me, we looked over every 1/10 of a second of that film.
Well, you got to celebrate twice. You won in New Hampshire, and then it was confirmed again this week. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. There wasn't much celebrating after the hearing, but trust me, we were on to Sonoma by that time.
Ryan Hunter-Reay wins at New Hampshire. By the way, since he got married, lost in all of this is how good his team has been doing. 3 podiums in the last little while, and that's after he and Becky tied the knot officially a few weeks ago. There's our New Hampshire winner. Lindy, who do you have?
Well, I have the guy who also thinks he's the New Hampshire winner, and just as Ryan said, there wasn't much celebrating for him either, so you were on pins and needles all week. Now, this weekend so far, you've had a sticker on your steering wheel that basically says, "I'm the winner." How do you move on from all that with that right in your face?
Well, we did move on. I mean, we had a great weekend. We had a lot of fun. As my engineer put it, he said it first. Best. We finished the race first. We just didn't win somehow, but anyway, we had a great weekend, and we're looking forward to continue that strike.
Now, you're starting 18th. Your teammate, though, is starting in the 3rd row. Are you better than the numbers show, or are you having a problem here?
No, I think we're better. I just couldn't put it together in qualifying. It was totally my fault, and it's so tight. I missed the first cut by a 10. I was only a 10.5 slower than James in the first round, but that didn't allow me to go to the next round, and this is when it's that competitive. I'm 18th, but luckily James did a great job for the team and make us good.
This will be Oriol's 3rd start here. He has a best finish of 6th. Kevin?
Lindy, along with the controversy at the end, we also saw Dario Franchitti not finish for the first time in a long time. And Will Power finished 5th, so he picked up some points. We're going to talk to our 2 championship contenders coming up in just a moment here from Infineon Raceway. We are just a bit north of San Francisco in the picturesque Sonoma Valley for the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma today. And fans have been enjoying the perfect weather all weekend and the IZOD fan zone as well, with simulators, plenty of activities, autograph sessions, games. The Firestone Firehawk is on hand. We've got current drivers signing autographs and legends alike like Mario Andretti. Lots of fun always at the racetrack in the IZOD fan zone. While Will Power is focusing on trying to chip into Dario Franchitti's championship lead today, starting from the pole, by the way, he also has to have his history here at Infineon Raceway on his mind.
Full throttle up over the top of the hill. The yellow lights, the yellow flag was out, but he was already committed. Look at that damage.
Well, you can bet Will Power has had this day on his calendar for quite some time.
Green flag will wave, and Will Power with a tremendous jump.
Well, Will Power is running a second quicker than the 4 guys behind him right now. Here's the leader.
Here he is.
And Dixon stays on track.
Hey, Scott, this is Ganassi. You know what you have to do.
Green flag.
Oh, he's right on him.
Dixon, wow.
Local yellow will wave as here comes Will Power to the chicane for the final time.
From the stretcher last year to victory lane this year, Will Power wins his 5th event of the year.
Yeah, boy, good job.
Well, terrific comeback for Will Power last year here at Infineon. This year he's trying to do it in a little different fashion in terms of the championship. Now 46 points behind. You told me yesterday it can be done, but if it's going to happen, is today a must-win for you?
I think they're all equally important. Today, this weekend and today, I mean, we've got a car that's better than the Ganassi guys, and we really need to capitalize on it. So I've got my 2 teammates between myself and Dario at the moment, starting grid, and we're all fast. So if we can finish the way we start, that'll be a perfect day.
You're an emotional driver. We saw that at New Hampshire, obviously. But you're also an aggressive driver, but you're also a driver now on probation. Does that change the probation, the way you race other guys?
Well, I'm not sure that I'm on probation on the track. I think it's off the track. So,
are you sure about that? I wouldn't chance it.
Well, you know, I'm going to race our race, and you know, I'm usually very clean, so it is what it is. Hey, man, you know, we're going for a championship.
All right, and don't expect any lack of aggression from Will Power here trying to win at Infineon today. The guys battling for the championship is standing by with Indy.
Dario Franchitti, almost always dominant, 43 straight finishes until Loudon. Is that why you always say you're not comfortable with a points lead until it's mathematically impossible for anyone to catch you?
Well, I think if we've proven anything in these last years in the IndyCar series, it's that anything can happen. So, yeah, really it's still the same until you're mathematically out of it. Even Scott's in this fight right now, and it takes 1 or 2 bad races for me, 1 or 2 good races for him, and he could win it, Will could win it, so we just got to keep fighting every single week.
After qualifying yesterday, you told me you're really struggling with the reds. Did you come up with anything overnight to help you? Because you've got to use them today.
Yeah, we figured it out. I think we've got definitely a better car on the reds today. It really just caught us by surprise yesterday. We weren't expecting the balance shift that we got when we went from the Firestone Blacks to the reds. So I think we'll be okay. Obviously, the Penske guys did a fantastic job yesterday, and we've been playing catch up a little bit today. So
you can tell us what you figure out.
I can't tell you that.
Come on, okay. Last year, Dario started 3rd and finished 3rd. Kevin?
And after what happened in New Hampshire, the championship is a little bit more interesting. And keep in mind, last year after 13 races, Will Power led Franchitti by 59 points. So Power gets back into it, and there's Scott Dixon lurking as well. They will start, Penske will, 1, 2, 3 in this race today, and the last time they started 1, 2, 3 was a little over a year ago at Watkins Glen. We heard from the pole sitter. Let's hear from the other 2 starting up front. Back to Marty.
Well, Team Penske arriving here just now, and they know they're winless for the year. So which one of you needs a win worse, Elio?
Which one needs a win?
Yeah, worse.
I guess me, because you're better in the championship. Come on.
You guys, neither one of you tested here, which was a little odd, but you struggled Friday, but you found a lot of speed Saturday. Were you a little surprised by that, Ryan?
We had some brake issues on Friday, so our speed was kind of accounted for. I was hoping the speed would come back Saturday. I wasn't sure how much of it was going to come back, but I was very happy when we were fighting for the pole all day long.
All right, Elio, considering how the season has gone, what's a finish today that would make you happy?
I mean, top 3, certainly we have 3 good cars, and top 3 would be fantastic. Obviously, Will in the battle of this championship, we're gonna try to do everything we can to steal points from our competitors, and but in the end of the day, we're gonna go for the win, so hopefully we have a chance.
Kevin mentioned the last time this team started 1, 2, 3. They also won that day, Kevin, so they're hoping for the same result this afternoon.
All right, thank you, Marty. And while we have a moment, don't forget to download IndyCar Mobile only from Verizon. Text Indy, I-N-D-Y, to 3406, where you can find post-race recaps with Jan Vikas and much more. Well, Dario Franchitti and Will Power almost certainly going to be a part of that recap. And along with 8 wins between them, there has also been plenty of emotion and verbal sparring.
Really disappointed in Dario. I always race him clean, and he always races me dirty.
If he's pissed off, he's quite right to be pissed off there.
Yeah, so disappointed in that guy. And he's the one who complains about everything, whinges about everyone, and he's twice done me dirty on the track.
He's pissed off right now, and he's going to be coming hard.
I was just trying to get past him there at the start. And it was simple as that. He went around the outside, and I think I hit his back wheel.
Yeah, he hit me twice on the first lap there. Pretty hard, actually. He didn't get me all the way around, but he had a good try at it.
I'm just racing, that's all. Sort of similar to Toronto.
Hey everybody, what's up? We're here at AT&T Park in San Francisco. I grew up here, so every time I come back, I try to hit a baseball game. So come on, let's go. I always tell people, like, there have only been 2 times ever that I've been, like, spazzing out by myself in my apartment, jumping on stuff, throwing things, and it was Pastrana doing a double backflip for the first time, and Giants winning the World Series. But,
so you just living a dream right now?
Yeah, man, I guess so. You know, I mean, it's a lot like you guys. I think, you know, you work a long time to get to that, you know, for you guys, you know, say AA, AAA, and then you're busting your balls to make that next step up.
It is nice to meet you.
Yeah,
I'm glad
for sure, man.
Over here.
Thanks for coming over.
Good luck to you. I'm rooting for you.
All right, cool,
nice to meet you.
It was awesome to meet you, dude. Yeah, for sure. Huge fan of yours, man.
I appreciate that.
I was a lefty myself, so it's cool to see somebody that gets in there and can get it done like that.
I make it up as I go.
I wear these and had some special ones made for this weekend. So check those out.
Look at this.
And pretty rad.
That is sweet.
So we're wearing those up in the hometown race, and then you can try throwing it on. You can see it, see if it fits.
Oh, that's living right there.
Yeah, they're nice and comfy.
Man, we might need to bust these out. Mr. Newcomb, if you're watching, I don't know. This kind of might keep us warm here. You want to stay down there and help me out there in the game? Come on.
I'd be happy to. I'm not sure I could do much help, but
I get to ride in the car one time.
All right, we can handle that. We can handle that. Well, that was pretty sweet. I'm gonna go catch the game. We'll see you guys out at the track.
That had to be a lot of fun. I know JR is a big baseball fan. He was a good high school baseball player before he shifted his focus to racing, and he is leading the rookie championship right now, but don't count out James Hinchcliffe. Hinch has his best start on a road and street course so far this season. He's going to start 6th today. Well, on Thursday, we officially learned what most of us suspected was coming. Danica Patrick is moving to NASCAR full-time next season. She'll drive the full nationwide season for Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s team and 8 to 10 Sprint Cup races for Tony Stewart's team. The Indianapolis 500 remains a possibility, but Danica is not a free agent for Indy. If she does the 500, Michael Andretti told me she is contractually obligated to Andretti Autosport. Lindy is with Danica.
The big question finally officially answered. So now that we know, as far as the rest of the IndyCar season, do you do that a little bit more pressure-free?
I don't think so. You know, I mean, I still want to do really well every single weekend, and you know, some of it is maybe a little bit more pressure because there's not many left. So I would love to get a win in by the end of the season. You know, we've got 2 road courses left after today and 2 ovals left, so there's definitely a good chance.
Speaking of road courses, when you started back in 05, there were 3. Now it's more than half our schedule. How much did that play into your decision?
Yeah, it definitely played a part in my decision. You know, it doesn't mean that I don't have good races and good finishes on road courses, but you know, putting the whole weekend together is tough. I've really struggled in qualifying. I haven't done a good job, and you know, just haven't put it all together. So that does. But I tell you, I just have fun racing those cars. You know, I feel like the races that in IndyCar that are like NASCAR races are the ones that I do well at, which are the ones like Loudon and Milwaukee and Indy, where you know the car changes through the run, and you do have to take care of the tires a little bit, and you know, those are the ones that I do well at, and so that's what all of them are like over there, and you know, I enjoy racing those cars.
And she'll have a tough one here today in IndyCar starting 25th. Kevin?
Thank you, Lindy. While Danica is headed to NASCAR, big news for IndyCar that her sponsor, GoDaddy, is staying for the next 2 years with Andretti Autosport. There are a lot of rumors about Dan Weldon possibly ending up in that car. We can tell you that Marco Andretti is going to be back in the 26 next year with RC Cola as a sponsor. And there are several new faces here at Infineon Raceway this weekend. There's Ho Pin Tong. We saw him at Indianapolis. He was quick, crashed in his qualifying attempt today. He will become the first Chinese driver to start an IndyCar race. Giorgio Pontino is filling in for the injured Justin Wilson here and in Baltimore. He had a good run in a couple of races for Ganassi in 05. He's also raced in F1. And Simone Pagenaud is filling in for the third time this year for Simona Di Silvestro, this time, who went home to Switzerland last week and returned on Wednesday, but was not allowed back in the country when she arrived in Washington, D.C. because of an unclear customs issue. She was sent back to Switzerland, and team officials are working to clear the matter. Honda, Izod, and Macy's are partnering up for the Civic Racing Style Sweepstakes. Check out all the new 2012 Civics at select Macy's and sign up for a chance to win a Civic LX Coupe. Well, look who we have here on set. Randy Bernard, the IndyCar CEO. There's a few things to talk about with Randy. Robin Miller joins us next, too.
I want to make it very clear. I'm 100% supportive of Brian Barnhart and his team. And I think that at the end of this season, we will reevaluate the rule book. I want to make sure that the rules in that rule book are what fans, the team owners, drivers want to see. And safety, of course, is a very important part of that.
That's yesterday here at Infineon Raceway, and the IndyCar CEO, Randy Bernard, joins us here on our set, along with our IndyCar insider, Robin Miller. Plenty to talk about. Let's talk about that clip there. You said you're 100% committed to Brian Barnhart. There's been a lot of conversation. Does that commitment extend to next season as well?
Right now we're worried about this year, but yes, right now I am 100% committed to Brian Barnhart and race control. Brian did admit he made a mistake. That's much better than him trying to hide it. Let's get it out, let's clean it up, and go on. I think that we all know that there's some rules that need to be changed, and we'll look at that for next year, but we are going to stay focused on exactly what our plan is, and Brian's a part of that.
What are you hearing from teams?
I've had some teams come to me and say they want Brian to stay and don't give in on this, and I think it's important. Everyone that tells me they want to see Brian gone, I want to clarify one thing that when Donald Trump was going to be the Grand Marshal of the Indy 500, Facebook had 17,000 people sign up to get him fired. They did the same thing with Brian. They only had 308 responses. I think that shows you a little bit. I think what people want to see is they want to see a clean race, and they want to see us do our job, and I think that's what you're going to see. The other thing I want to point out really quick is transparency. We think it's very important to show the transparency of race control, and what we're going to do next week, starting next week, is if you have the Eyes on IndyCar app from Verizon, you will be able to watch race control live.
Robin,
Randy,
I'm guessing you have thoughts.
Here's the thing. He admitted his mistake after he threw Johnny Rutherford and the pit stewards under the bus, but the whole thing is he's become a bigger story than the drivers in the races. And I've been on your butt since I met you. Get rid of him, get him out of race control. I understand why he did in his first year because you're learning the series. But when your chief steward is a bigger story than your drivers and he's not consistent, you got a problem.
Yeah, and we've admitted that there was a problem last week. I think that, to me,
that's the way I got to say.
It's not just IndyCar that there's been mistakes made by referees or chief stewards. I mean, I can show you every form of motorsports, and even on this call, I think you can go back and look at it. There's been calls similar to this call made in other genres of motorsports. So I think that, what we have to do is continue to work for what the ultimate job is, and that is promoting our sport and making sure that it's as clean and great racing. And I think that starts with the rule book.
But it also starts with how you interpret the rule book and the way he interprets it. And when the drivers don't trust the guy that's the chief steward and they don't feel there's any consistency, it's time to make a change. And I think if you took a vote with the drivers, they'd all say we need a change, and there are some qualified people out there.
Well, I won't disagree with that, but what I would say is I think that the drivers, their job is to race and to go and do what they're paid to do, and that's race. And our job is to put who we think is in charge and to give them rules that they can race to, and I think that's what we're going to do.
All right, Randy, thank you so much for coming up and addressing these issues. At Baltimore next week, we're going to get into some other things, schedule coming out soon, and we're really excited about the World Championships in Las Vegas, and I know you've got some special announcements that are coming in the very near future. It's going to be a big-time weekend, not just the race itself, wrapping up the season in the middle of October. Stay with us.
And Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California, we get closer and closer to the green flag. I'm Bob Jenkins with my booth mates, Jan Vikas and Wally Dallenbach. You know, during qualifying yesterday, we had several onboard shots, and these guys really work out there, Wally.
These drivers are going to be earning their paycheck today. And the reason is because these tires fall off so much. And normally a second fall off. We're seeing over 2 seconds. We're on board here with Will Power. And just watch all the steering input he puts back in this thing. These guys are going to be driving these cars. And this is on new tires, John, so it's going to be fun today.
And remember that Will Power is part of a threesome, and that is that Penske Racing is 1, 2, 3. So the teams refer to the #1 rule in racing. We all know it. Don't take out your teammate. They're going to be careful not to be too aggressive. But, Wally, I think they have to look in the mirror and keep an eye out for Dario Franchitti. Secondarily, they have to keep him behind.
The 3 Penske drivers are 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and Franchitti starts 4th, so Will has a couple of buffers there between himself and the leader in the championship points chase, Dario Franchitti. We go down to trackside for opening ceremonies.
We ask that you please stand as our nation's colors are revealed on the stage by the Joint Services Color Guard, made up of members of all branches of the military. Leading us in our country's Pledge of Allegiance, Eagle Scouts from Troop 924 in Livermore, California, Robert and Christopher Nilsson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here to deliver today's invocation is track minister Tim Boovey.
Let us pray. Gracious God, on this splendid day, we pause to give thanks for all of our blessings, including the thrill of being here to watch all the exciting action. We give thanks for the finely tuned skills of our drivers and their teammates, and we pray that each one would finish the race safely. We are especially mindful today of all those who serve our country in the armed forces. We are indebted to the sacrifices that they make on behalf of our grateful nation. Bless all those who give of themselves in service to others, from our track ambassadors to our operations team. Help each of us put service above self, just as you do always and in every way. Amen.
Please welcome back to the stage to sing our national anthem from Travis Air Force Base, Band of the Golden West, Jeff Fisher and Megan Hokai.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Stirring rendition of our national anthem as the crowd now gets set for 75 laps, 173 miles of racing. Drivers have been ordered to their cars. And we're not too far away from the command to start engines and the beginning of this event. There's Danica Patrick getting set to go. Ryan Hunter-Reay, the most recent winner in the IZOD IndyCar Series, getting his final swig of water. He'll be getting on the helmet and climbing in the car momentarily. Thanks for joining us on IndyCar Central on Versus, presented by Verizon. We'll come back for the command in just a moment. 2011 season has been a season of emotions, and we expect more emotion here today as 28 drivers get set to go 75 laps around this 2.3-mile road course, 173 miles of racing at the IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma. As is the case almost every morning, we had a marine layer, fog we call it in the Midwest, but that's burned off. It's a pleasant 75 degrees and the humidity is 63%. Skies are sunny and the winds are from the west-southwest at 7 miles an hour. Will Power has won the pole for today's race here at the Infineon Raceway. He is second in the point standing, shaving a point off the advantage that Dario Franchitti has going into this race. But here are his finishes from the pole on the races that we've had so far on the streets and the roads. He won at Barber. He won at Brazil. Can he win here at Sonoma? We will answer that question in a little bit over 2 hours. Right now, let's get the command.
And here to give today's command, the most famous words in motorsports, retired Marine Corps Major General Mike Myatt.
Drivers, start your engines.
When you're ready, let me hear you. Same fuel from the start here, Ryan. Second time back. Race control, roll one, on hot. Spot 8 there. 2 hot. 3 hot. 4 hot. 5 hot. 6 hot. 7 hot. 8 hot. Go ahead, row 10. Hot. 11, 12 hot. 11 hot.
The driver now alone with his thoughts in the cockpit, getting set to race here at Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California. 28 cars in the starting field here today, and they begin to roll away. At the front of the field, it's being led by legendary Mario Andretti. Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes has been very popular. Log on to shophonda.com to enter. This week's lucky winner is Chris Bean from Westminster, Colorado. Chris, can you hear me?
I sure can. I'm solely stoked. Hey, I just want to say that thanks to all the military men and women of the United States Armed Forces. And yeah, keep on bringing it.
Chris, nice of you to say so. I know there's a lot of emotion going through your body, but it's nice that you mentioned that type of thing. We hope you have a great ride with the living legend up in front of you.
Definitely, and thanks to Shop Honda and IndyCar Series, Firestone, and all the great people making this happen.
This guy sounds like a driver. Yeah. He's got all the sponsors down. By logging on to shophonda.com, Chris won the opportunity to start today's race in the IZOD two-seater driven by Mario Andretti. This is a very challenging racetrack, as Wally Dallenbach stated, and it's also got a lot of elevation changes. Jan Bikas has a closer look at this facility.
Well, it does, and Chris is going to get a viewpoint of a lot of different types of corners, Bob, and that's what people love so much about this racetrack. Turn number 2 has some off-camber, then they have banking up over the top of 3A, second gear for turn 4, and then into the carousel. This is get 3 G's of side load, then onto the drag strip down to turn 7. The best place to pass. Then you have to have good change of direction, get up and slam the brakes on for almost 4 G's down to 40 miles an hour for 9A. Then power down is all important in 11A. That's only half the story. The second half has to be elevation changes. You start down low at 16 feet, so that means you go up 14 stories by the time you get to the top of 3A, then drop down. That's that compression through the carousel. Then obviously you're going to be flat on the drag strip. You have to get it turned at the end. That's hard. Then back downhill to the lowest point on the track at only 14 feet above sea level.
Here's a starting lineup for today's race. Will Powers won his 6th pole position of the year. His teammate Elio Castroneves will start alongside. In the second row, Ryan Briscoe, 6th in points, and the points leader, Dario Franchitti. The third row, the Mid-Ohio winner Scott Dixon and James Hinchcliffe.
And James, of course, what a great qualifying for him. Said on the session prior to that the car wasn't good at all. They threw a new setup and his best qualifying of the year.
Fourth row, Mike Conway and Sebastian Bourdais. Back in row number 5, EJ Viso and Anna Beatrice.
Yeah, Anna Beatrice. Now, before this weekend, her best road course start was 20th. So she has done a great job this weekend. And, you know, I talked to their team this morning. They're really, really confident. She's had a fast car all weekend. The biggest thing they see in her, she's got a lot of confidence. They're looking for a great finish today.
Giorgio Pontano will substitute for Justin Wilson today. Alex Tagliani alongside. As you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, there have been 7 different winners in 7 races here at Sonoma, and 6 of the 7 former winners are in the field. The only one not in the field is the guy who won back in 1970, Dan Gurney. The farthest back a winner has ever started was 5th. That was Scott Dixon in 2007. And the most recent races have been won from the pole in 2008, 2009, and in 2010. So there's a look at the entire starting lineup for you.
And if we look at the pit strategy, Bob, you look at the Sunoco pit windows that we look at for each race. Those windows are very narrow. See that 21 to 26? And the question that comes to mind immediately, what about Will Power? He has been caught by yellow flags this year, Marty. How are they going to approach it?
Well, it happened a couple weeks ago at Mid-Ohio. So, Tim, how do you avoid getting caught by that caution?
Well, that's really luck of the draw. You know, you're trying to do all the things that you do to get you there, and at that point in time, we were pretty far behind Dario, and that was our only way to get caught up. And I think that's something that you're going to see again today. It's just a matter of when the yellow falls, because I think if you look back to Edmonton, same thing happened with Simona, but they just went local yellow instead of full core. So at that point, Dario would have been at the back of the pack, and it would have been the opposite way. So it's the things that you do to get you here.
But that's what you want to do as a leader. You want to stay out one lap longer than your opponent. If you can, stay at speed while he's on cold tires. That's a huge advantage, Bob.
6 onboard cameras will complement our race. J.R. Hildebrand and the National Guard onboard camera. Oriol Servia will carry one, so will Graham Rahal. Giorgio Pontano has the Firestone on board. Ryan Briscoe carries the IZOD onboard camera for you today. There he is, and the Verizon wireless onboard camera carried by the pole sitter, Will Power. Will, here they come. This is the long course. They won't be using this course for the actual race. We'll explain that in a moment. But they're lined up nicely, 2 abreast at least in the front of the field, off of quarter number 12, and the green flag comes out, and we are underway at Sonoma.
I think there's a lot of cooperation between teammates on that start.
There's 2 teammates side by side. Dixon and Franchitti wheel to wheel into turn 3.
Dario had to make a bit of a bobble there as Dixon was on his way.
That's Tagliani going to the inside in black and white. James Jakes.
And Takuma Sato both on the inside trying to pick up a position.
Oh, Ryan Hunter-Ray. Those were the 2 winner and want-to-be winner of New Hampshire side by side into the carousel.
Down to the inside. That was a nice move right there. If he can pull it off.
Still outside, still there.
There's J.R. Hildebrand's onboard camera. J.R.'s from Sausalito, just south of the racetrack.
And that's, look up front, that's the blue car of Serbia way on the inside. Look out, there's somebody inside, and that's why your spotter's telling you at the same time. James Jakes seemed to check up there, and there goes J.R. Hildebrand past him.
This is Serbia. Back in 17th.
What a great first lap.
Now this is the short course. They don't go clear up to the area where they started the race because there's more runoff in this area in case we have a brake problem.
Hope and tongue.
Yeah.
He doesn't quite know that you have to leave the inside road of the open. Wow, that's a bit of Euro strategy there.
He's about to find out you can't do that, because I'm sure he will get a warning on that one.
He was passing Sebastian Saavedra, who was very good in practice. He was passing cars like crazy. There's Saavedra in the number 34 car. Meanwhile, up front, Will Power has opened up a bit of an interval between himself and Elio. Third is Briscoe. Fourth is Dixon.
Hinchcliffe hanging in there. First in class, you would say.
Dario now has the fourth position. Dixon fifth.
There we go.
There's Marco.
Looking under Rahal, but didn't quite have enough room.
Graham Rahal said that his test that he had here over a week ago, just everything went wrong. He had clutch slipping. They had to go back, take the back of the engine off to get to the clutch. He missed half a day, and they've never really recovered. He obviously has the engineering data from teammates from Target Chip Ganassi Racing, but when you don't start well, it's tough to make up spots.
Graham Rahal's running in 13th position. Behind him is Marco Andretti, former winner here, and ahead of him there is Alex Tagliani, pole sitter for 2 races this year in the series, including the Indianapolis 500.
Alex Tagliani ahead of him in black and white. He was one that did not test here.
I think you can get a run on tag. We can use an overtake. I think that's what Marco's doing behind you.
And that's the coaching to Graham Rahal. Get a run on Tagliani, Marty.
And you talked about that test here, very frustrating for him. And he told me after qualifying yesterday was one of the most frustrating qualifying sessions. He said you just couldn't get a clean lap. Speaking of Graham Rahal in qualifying yesterday. So
Marty, he just went off.
You see the tight racing right now, don't you guys? Holy smokes.
You're clear. You okay?
Kicks up a little dust. Yep, you're all right. But it allows Marco to close in a little tighter.
You're pushing the envelope there. As I mentioned on the track map, over 3 G's of side load in the middle of the carousel, but then you lose the banking wall. You hit the drag strip and it just drifts across.
And you got to be careful with that dirt. Guys kicking dirt up on the racetrack. We saw Elio Cachanevis go off earlier yesterday. Same deal. Somebody in front of him dropped the wheel. There was dirt on the track, and then Elio came by and he went straight off.
Into turn number 11 once again. About to complete lap number 4. Well, we have had a very clean start of the race, and up front it is Will Power with already a 1.2 second advantage over Elio Castroneves. Third is Briscoe, fourth Franchitti, fifth Dixon. Poetry in motion. Fast poetry in motion here at Sonoma as the cars round the corner. This is our Exmo, and you can really see the car moving and what the driver can do on this racetrack. We have completed 5 laps so far, and Tony Kanaan has decided to make a pit stop, Kevin.
Tony Kanaan comes in very early, and he wanted to get to the red tires as quick as possible. These are the softer compounds. They have 2 sets of sticker reds. These should be a little bit quicker, so he's off strategy. Started 21st, was still running in 21st. Kanaan is away.
You like that, Wally?
Yeah, I do. I mean, well, he started on the blacks, and I you know, Jan and I were talking about it over commercial. I think depending on the yellows, it's going to be more than 2 pit stops to win this race because the tires are so important here this weekend. There's so much fall off on them.
The red sidewalls, the alternates that he has on now, they're about 0.6 of a second faster because they're softer, but typically they don't have the same level of longevity. So if you want speed, you want the reds, but you have to run both in the race. So his strategy, simply run the blacks for a little while, make a switch, but this only works now for Tony Kanaan if there's a caution before the next group pits.
Correct, yeah.
Otherwise, that was a wasted stop.
But why not? He was running back in 22nd or 23rd anyway, so why not gamble?
Well, this is the 18th consecutive road course race that Will Power has led, going back to Edmonton in 2009. It's the 10th race he's led this year, and that's the most of any driver.
And Bob, normally outstanding on on these road courses. He told me earlier this week, he said, honestly, I feel like we've struggled lately on the street and road courses. Just one podium in his last 3 street and road course races. So when they came to test here last week, they went back to some old setups. We found out why we were slow, not necessarily what would make us faster. So back to some older setups, more like what they ran last year, and the car came back to life. Clearly, he's been the dominant car here this weekend as well.
So far, that is definitely the story. Power has a 1.3 second advantage on Elio and has about a 2.5 second advantage on his other Team Penske teammate, Ryan Briscoe. Nobody has made a real big move so far. The driver who has gained the most positions since the drop of the green flag is Ho Pin Tung, who has gained 2 positions. Danica Patrick, Vitor Meira, Ed Carpenter, Charlie Kimball have all gained 1 position. And there is the Tagliani-Rahal battle that's been raging since we started the race. This is back in 12th and 13th.
Just ahead of Tagliani, of course, is Anna Beatrice, who, while you talked about that during the grid, that has been a great performance for her. And in fact, she's pulled away a little bit from Tagliani. Fantastic effort for her.
Yeah, it wasn't just a lucky lap in qualifying. They've been fast all weekend. Every single practice, they've been, in the 7th, 8th. So they've run really, really well.
And of course, Robbie Buell, and this is Simone Pagenaud, not Simona de Silvestro. You didn't catch. Let's get that pit stop first. Versus
Simone Pagenaud getting the red tires off and getting the black ones. Keith Wiggins just told me they're just gambling here, just trying to go off strategy and gain some spots. He's out in 8.8.
Yeah, if you weren't with us for the pre-race show, Simona de Silvestro had problems getting into the country. She went back to her home country of Switzerland, and then they wouldn't allow her back into this country to race here this weekend. And so Simone Pagenaud was called upon to pilot the car this weekend.
Now, Simone Pagenaud was in Spain at the time and had almost a similar issue trying to get in. So in a way, they almost lost 2 drivers. They're hoping to get Simona back, of course, in time for Baltimore.
He flew all night on Thursday night, got here on Friday, and with very little sleep, got into the car and has really been pretty impressive so far. There's your leader, Will Power. Oh, looks like we got a little debris somewhere.
It looks like an onboard camera. Yeah, wow. I think that's an actual camera off the top of a roll hoop.
That's at the entrance to corner number 7, so it is off the racetrack. Here is J.R. Hildebrand making a pit stop in the National Guard car.
We're going to go back on red tires. We're going to go set 7 reds. Set 7 reds.
Lindy.
Here we go. 5, 4.
In comes J.R. Hildebrand, who is from this area. He says, obviously it's nice anytime you sleep in your home bed, but he does not feel any advantage because these other guys have raced here a lot more than he has. He's got red tires on, and Vitor Meira is in as well, and he's out.
Oh, but he's not out because there was a left front problem. They were trying to get it. Kevin?
You saw it, Jan. They didn't get it in. The left front tire changer tried to raise his hand to say it's not on there. Luckily, catastrophe was averted. They get the tire back on, so they lose a lot of time, but it doesn't look like any damage to the car, and no penalties would be coming.
Charlie Kimball also making a pit stop and going back on racetrack. There he is in the Novo Nordisk sponsored machine.
And you'll make these type of pit stops, Wally, as we said. If you're not where you need to be, didn't qualify well, just gamble and go early.
So a lot of people are trying to figure out the strategy that they need to beat the faster cars on the racetrack, as Will Power still has the advantage here and has led since the drop of the green flag. But the interval between himself and Castroneves is a little bit less now. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Baltimore, I think it's just going to be an absolutely beautiful event to be going to. Anyone's race, though.
New challenge. No one has any data on that track, no setup, so you got to turn up there and be right on the ball every session.
It's going to be whoever has the right setup on the day and which driver, I think, really has learnt the track the quickest.
Who knows who's going to win that one? I mean, there's just could be anyone. Hopefully me.
Well, I've never been to Baltimore, but I am very much looking forward to being there this coming weekend. Next Saturday, we'll have IndyCar qualifying on Versus at 6 o'clock Eastern, and next Sunday, we'll begin our coverage at noon with the Firestone Indy Light Series and the Baltimore Grand Prix, the inaugural event at 2 o'clock Eastern on Versus. We have 4 more events Baltimore, then Motegi, then Kentucky, and of course the World Championship at Las Vegas. That, of course, is the race that will undoubtedly decide who is the champion for 2011. Lindy?
Sato comes in for red tires and a wing adjustment. He had a scare before this race. All of a sudden, they were losing water pressure. They had to change the radiator with just a couple minutes to spare before the start of this race, Bob.
And you also notice, thank you, Lindy, on the top. That's, of course, Jimmy Vasser spotting for him, telling him who's coming up the hill. But you noticed on top of his roll hoop, he has what looks like an onboard camera. All the onboard cameras are working. So what we saw on the side of the racetrack would be what's known as a dummy. Everyone else has to carry a dummy onboard camera on top of the same weight. So if you carry a camera, it's not a disadvantage. And, of course, Sato's was yellow, was still on there, so we're yet to find the car. Again, it's not an actual camera. We now are told it's EJ Viso. It's not an integral part because it's just a shell.
Good explanation there, Jan. Here comes James Hinchcliffe. He is running in 6th spot. Behind him, Mike Conway. Then Sebastian Bourdais, EJ Viso, Giorgio Pontano, Anna Beatrice, and there is Tagliani and Rahal, and they're still together.
Yeah, Rahal's been working him over, but Tagliani has not made any mistakes.
And look at the slip, and this is just what you were talking about. Look at both cars just snaking over the top.
Yeah, this is only like 12 laps in.
Into the carousel.
Big downhill here.
That's where Graham dropped a couple wheels. They both actually dropped wheels when we were looking at them earlier. 40 miles an hour here at the slowest point.
Graham got into that corner really well. It was a really good braking move there. He just needed to be closer to Tags to pull off the pass. Looks like Tag pushed pretty bad there in that corner as well.
Lots of people are having push on the way in. It means it won't turn, and then loose on the way out.
But that's what a driver like Rahal is going to look for. He's going to try to look for where's Tag weak at. Now, if he can get close enough getting down that drag strip, he knows Tag's going to push out there. If he can get underneath him, he can pull the pass off.
Down to 45 miles an hour here. And Wally, we were seeing, now look how inside is Rahal. A lot of people running the outside groove there.
Yeah, but I think Tagliani's got a little bit of a push in that car. I think he's using up all the road just because the car is making him do that right now. But see how his car slides way off?
Oh, yeah.
Rahal's car looks like it's handling better. It may be a little bit on the loose side, if anything.
4th gear up over the top.
We got to get through the carousel here. In order to set up a pass on somebody in front of you, you've got to be better, or as good at least, through here. See, you see Tag's car still slides a little bit.
Oh, it really gripped right in the middle, though. That's the high G area. It did eventually turn nicely.
Now watch the right-hander here. We'll see if Tagliani pushes again. See, he does. He uses a lot more racetrack there. So Rahal just needs to get a little bit closer to him at the braking zone.
Let's hear what Graham's answer was. They asked if he wanted more front wing. You could see he hit the radio button.
And guys, I can confirm Graham is just a little bit loose. He said we just don't have enough rear grip. That was very early in this run, and you hear a lot of the leaders saying about 10 more laps before they'll pit, and they're asking Graham better fuel mileage. They want one more lap than what they can do right now.
That's when you say, thanks for that.
Yeah.
I'm racing for position here. But everyone gets that call, Wally. That's,
Yeah.
That was good mileage. Good mileage. Keep working on it.
Each time you go by the pits, they will know exactly how much fuel you've burned, so he's getting an attaboy.
Danica Patrick is coming to pit lane. Kevin.
She comes 60 miles an hour. She's near pit in. She has not been happy at all with the way the car was handling. So they said, all right, let's go ahead and come in right now. They're going to take off primary tires, the black tires. They're going to scuffed, softer, quicker compounds. Danica Patrick is back out with an early stop.
Okay, you're going to be blending with the leaders here. Pretty sure the leaders will be on top of you. Okay, power's in the court hairpin here on three Penske cars.
14 laps have been complete now. 15 laps have been completed. We're on lap number 16, and here comes Will Power and the others. She comes out.
She had the call. She knew they were coming, so she gave them plenty of room.
Well, that's when you always wonder, are you sure she's hearing the spotter? Because that is why you have spotters, because it's a bit blind going up that hill.
She comes out between the leader, Will Power, and second place, Elio Castroneves. You're watching the IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma from Infineon Raceway live on Versus. We are back at Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California. Something happened between us and you. We don't know what it was, but we apologize that we have not been with you for the last few minutes, but we are now.
I saw Bekas unplug something over on the right-hand side.
I think he kicked a plug or something. Anyway, as you can see at the top of your screen, we have completed 20 on lap 21 of 75. And we're watching Mike Conway running in 7th position. EJ Viso is behind him. Then Sebastian Bourdais and the 22 of Giorgio Pantano. Here we are on board with him.
It's a good race right here. Guys have been very close. It's been like this for about the last 6 or 7 laps.
And during those 6 or 7 laps, EJ Viso did put a very aggressive move on Sebastian Bourdais to take that spot. It was very well done in turn 7.
And Graham Rahal, who has been battling since the green flag drop with Alex Tagliani, he finally got him. Here it is, Wally.
And this is what he needed to do. We talked about he needed to be close enough here at the braking zone to get underneath him. So he finally got through the carousel in a good spot. Was a car length or 2 behind Tags and made a great pass.
And so Rahal now is 12th and Tagliani is 13th. And he will now set his sights on Anna Beatrice, who is not too far ahead of him.
And Bob, they've told him you can catch Anna. You're a little bit faster than she is. But the one thing that Jan and Wally, they told him, they said, listen, Tags is saying he's loose off the corner. That information helps you as a driver, doesn't it? Because then you know where to attack. And you saw where the pass happened on corner exit where Tags was the loosest of all.
We've been kind of seeing a push here, Barney, but I mean, when you're sitting there, he was close enough to see that Tags was struggling. And whenever you're in a position like that, you see a driver that's struggling, it's like you're on the blood trail. All of a sudden, you start driving a little bit harder, and you start standing up in that seat a little bit more because you know that driver in front of you is having trouble, and you've got a good race car, so you go after it.
Mike Conway remains on course as the 22 car of Giorgio Pantano enters pit lane. This is Dryer Reinbold substituting for the injured Justin Wilson, who was injured, of course, at Mid-Ohio.
Doing a good job.
He was running 10th.
Go, 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 go. Clear, clear, all clear. Need a good out lap here, buddy. You're all clear coming onto the track, all clear.
The onboard camera as he entered pit lane. Let's watch it. Ooh.
Some lockup by Sebastian Bourdais right ahead. You can actually, Wally, as you know, you can go much quicker into pit road if there isn't someone ahead. He had to wait. Oh, and here comes Viso now for another spot.
And EJ moves up to 8th, passing Sebastian Bourdais.
Well, he got rid of that dummy camera, and now he's flying.
He's on the move.
Of note, Pantano started on blacks. He was the highest, I believe, starting on blacks. Now he's gone to the alternate, so he is the first to stop in what you would call the regular window and be on an alternate tire strategy.
And Pantano is now 17th. He was 10th when he came into the pits, now 17th.
And guys, Tim Cindric told me this morning about lap 26 for these guys to hit pit road. The big problem, and you talked about it at the beginning of the show, Wally, is how long do these red tires last? Already Ryan Briscoe, Will Power, all saying they're losing a lot of grip because these red tires at the end of a run really go away and they lose a lot of time. Tags in, Lindy.
And as you had said earlier, he is very loose, so no surprise they are doing a wing adjustment. You saw it right there, and he went on to the black tires. He's out at 8.5.
Good clean stop for Tagliani. He's back on the track.
And Wally, that confirms what you were saying. Yes, he's been loose off the corners, but we've seen a big push, and they added front wing. That's going to give him some help down there in turn 7 where we saw that big push.
Well, what happens is when you start off as a push, and you've got so much steering wheel in through the corner, when you get through the corner and finally get on the gas, that's where it goes to a loose. But you fixed the problem that's first. The first problem was, what's the car doing first? Well, it's pushing first, then it's going loose. So you attack that problem first.
Watching Oriol Servia here. He's in 24th position. That's tags up ahead of him.
He caught just at the wrong time, but he should have much hotter tires. Tagliani not up to speed yet, but he's got to fight back.
Wow.
Both of these guys, one's got tires, one other, but they're still sliding around because those tires haven't come in yet.
Mike Conway has made a pit stop. He was running in the top 10. That's Martin Plowman in the 17 car trying to get around Tagliani now. Martin in his second IZOD IndyCar Series race.
Those would be team cars. Sam Schmidt. In fact, Plowman did the testing here for Tagliani, and the leaders right behind.
Plowman running in 25th position.
And is he on reds? Yes, Plowman is on reds.
Yeah.
But like Power at the very end of a run on reds.
Yeah. I think Plowman should hit the pits this time if Power stays out. Get that one extra lap or 2 extra laps on better tires.
And Power's in the window. If I had 2 cars fighting ahead, I think this would be a good time for Power to duck on pit road.
James Hinchcliffe he was running in 6th spot. Now relinquishes that spot, Marty, to make the stop.
Yeah, guys, just like Alex Tagliani, he was loose into the corner, tight off of the corner. They're going to make no changes here to the wing, though, because I think the black tires will make a big enough difference. It'll be 3 scuffed black tires. The left front will be a sticker black tire, and they've been running in 6th this entire run for James Hinchcliffe, waiting on the fuel. 7 or 8-3 on the stop for him.
Good job, guys. Good job. Let's have a good out lap here, please.
And here's Ryan Hunter-Ray on pit lane. You must use both types of tires. Both the alternates and the primaries must complete at least 2 green laps on those particular tires. Lindy, here's Ryan.
And several laps ago, Ryan said he had absolutely no grip left. They told him, you have to hang on. We have to make it to at least lap 25. The leader should be coming by right around now. He gets the black tires in a wing and just out in 8.3. Let's see where he ends up.
He's clear. Yellow line. Watch the yellow.
Here's Helio Castroneves, 2nd place. Kevin Lee.
Castroneves looking for a win in a 12th consecutive season. He has not won yet this season. He will take 4 tires. He has a little break ahead of him, so it's a clean out. A little bit of a front wing adjustment, and Castroneves is away.
And they took some out. We saw a lot of front wing going in from Castroneves. They actually took it out.
Here's Scott Dixon making his pit stop. He was running 4th.
And Dixon in. They're going to put on these scuffed blacks. They also make a small wing adjustment. A little bit of understeer, he said, especially early in the run. Now E.J. Viso on pit road as well.
Sebastian Bourdais has made his stop. E.J. Viso was in 6th position, and now he too is on pit lane. Changing to the primary tires. Fuel is in, and away he goes. Sebastian Bourdais.
See the Graham Rahal's crew is set up.
Okay, you should have a clear pit out. Go, go, go.
And a Beatrice on her way back onto the track.
It's tight. Here comes Power.
Here's Power, leader of the race, in for his first pit stop. It comes on lap number 26. Marty Snyder, he's headed toward you.
Right on schedule on lap 26, just like Tim Cindric said. They asked him, how's the car? He said, perfect, no changes to it. It will be scuffed black tires they scuffed this morning, and a quick pit stop for the 12 crew. Waiting a little bit there at the very end. Up further pit road is Dario Franchitti. You see him come to a stop. He said his car, a lot of understeer very early on. They're hoping the blacks will fix that. A very small wing adjustment. You saw that on the left front. More wing in, trying to get that car a little bit tighter for Dario, a little bit looser for Dario Franchitti.
And Marty, you could visibly see that they held Power power for a moment to be sure that Dario was well clear before they sent him. And wow, when you have tires that aren't up to tire pressure and temperature, wow, it's slick.
Yeah, these guys have a handful until now. These tires, Elio said it takes about 3 laps. These tires come in faster, actually, than some of the tires have the rest of the season. But, of course, they're going off a lot faster as well.
Oh, look at Elio after power.
Well, teammates battling it out here, not for the lead.
And that little bit of holdup, Jan, that they held power, erased that gap between first and second spot.
This is the battle for second place. Actually, Ryan Briscoe has the lead, having not pitted to this point. Did you also see the brake dust come up from Franchitti's tires?
Now, part of what's happening with Castro Neves is he stopped 2 laps earlier than Power, so he would have more tire pressure and temperature when he caught him. But now Will Power, as his other teammate, now hits pit road.
Now here is Briscoe, the leader of the race.
And guys, this is what you want to do. Stay out 1 lap later than your competitors. Ryan Briscoe was able to do that. It's going to be 4 tires. They will be black sticker tires for Ryan Briscoe. He said the tires were really going away. Will Power has already gone by him on the track, though, so we'll see where he cycles out with everybody else.
Yeah, he's going to be considerably behind Elio, but not too bad. There he is at the top of your screen. Here comes Briscoe. And Franchitti will be right behind him, and then Dixon.
Now, see, normally when you stay out, Wally, you gain a lot of time and you can leapfrog, but when you stay out on tires that are going away, you kind of lose that advantage. So it looked like Castro Neves, who of this group was the first to stop, he was the one with the most advantage after all the pit stops.
Yeah, it looks that way, but like I said, don't forget that extra second they held power was a lot. Yeah. That's a lot on the racetrack.
But see, Castro Neves is racing now. He's staying right on power.
And you got to think that Elio Castro Neves, given the ups and downs he has had this season, is just so hungry for a win. I'm not so sure that he's going to let his teammate win just because he can gain more points toward the championship.
I agree with you on that.
And we know their cars are working differently because we saw that they actually went the opposite way on the front wing for Elio, so he's got a different handling car.
Pontino just passed James Hinchcliffe. Wow. That was for 6th position.
Man, good job.
Pontino's on the move, isn't he?
You're trying to find something that rhymed with Pontino, huh?
This is the onboard from Giorgio Pontino to the inside of Hinchcliffe in turn 7.
Perfect.
And there you are. That by far has been the area that we have seen most passing in this race so far, with 28 laps completed on lap number 29. It's Will Power leading Elio Castro Neves by about 0.8 of a second. Ryan Briscoe is third, followed by Franchitti and Scott Dixon. All right, here at Infineon Raceway, 30 laps out of 75 completed. Now we go through the field. The leader is Will Power. Here's Marty.
I would say it's a beautiful day for a drive through wine country. Will Power certainly enjoying it. Has led all but 2 laps to this point. And remember the pre-race show, he told us we have a better car than the Ganassis today. Certainly proving that thus far. No changes on that first stop, and 4 scuffed black tires keeping it out front, Kevin.
Elio Castro Neves is a little more than a second back. He was not happy at all with how the car was handling this morning, but it had been good all weekend. They made some changes to try to make some minor adjustments. Didn't like it. They went back to the way it was yesterday. Marty?
Well, Ryan Briscoe hung in there as long as he could back there in the yellow Penske Truck Rentals car. Now he's in the 3rd position. Those red tires are really going away at the end of that run. He has on blacks now and a turn of front wing in, trying to help that car out a little bit. Same story for Dario Franchitti, who spent the last 2 weeks here in wine country. He came straight here after New Hampshire after their 20th place finish, relaxed a little bit, said he put it totally behind him. Moving on now, trying to win the championship. His teammate Scott Dixon so close right behind him. Dixon also with understeer very early in the run last time. They did 2 rounds of wing in, trying to get that car a little bit better for Scott. Currently, he's in the 5th position. Kevin?
What a run for Giorgio Pontino, who has been in these cars sort of in 2005. It was a different chassis. It was a Panos chassis for Ganassi. He's trying to get used to the difference in the brakes. He's done F1 cars before. He's done a lot of different kind of cars. So far, so good for Giorgio Pontino, Marty.
Kevin, James Hinchcliffe has lost the spot since he came back out from pit road. In the earlier run, run. He was loose in, tied off. They decided to make no changes to it, and he's hanging on in the 7th position. They did not test here, but Hinch did come to the test, said he watched every part of this racetrack, how drivers got into the corner and what they did braking-wise. Said he learned a ton when he was here, even though he wasn't behind the wheel. It's a long way back to E.J. Viso with Lindy.
And E.J. Viso, for the first time, is the highest KV qualifier the first time this season. He started 9th, whereas Sato was 16th and TK was 21st. The Venezuelan, he's earned his best starting position in 4 attempts here at Infineon. He surpassed a 13th starting place in 2009. So far, the weekend's been challenging for this team. He says it's a difficult track for him because you have to sacrifice something in one corner to gain something in another. Behind him, Sebastian Bourdais. What a difference 24 hours makes, because yesterday he was not happy. Didn't even think he'd make it out of the first round of qualifying. Today, he says he thinks he has a top 3 car, and by the time qualifying ended yesterday, he thinks he should have been higher than 8th, and he says it's his fault he wasn't, because what he thought was going to happen with the car just didn't. He wants a top 3 finish today, Kevin.
Lindy, Mike Conway is running 10th. He's lost a few positions. He started 7th, but he's the only one of the Andretti Autosport cars that is not really displeased. Danica Patrick and Marco Andretti have both been screaming on the radio. In fact, Conway's team tried to help out Andretti's team this morning going to their setup, but it hasn't worked for Andretti. So far, so good. Just a little bit of a push for Mike Conway. Graham Rahal, by the way, just got past Mike Conway on track.
And that takes you through the top 11.
I'm saying that these blacks compared to the reds are full 2 seconds slower. That's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A ton when you're driving a race car.
The teams were saying that it was 0.6 to 1 second. So under race conditions, when they wear, if you see a gap that big, that's huge.
Mike Conway running in the 11th position. Behind him is Sato, then Servia, who is not having a particularly good weekend. Oriol Servia now 13th. And the winner 2 weeks ago, Ryan Hunter-Reay, is running in the 14th position. But the man who's on a Sunday cruise is Will Power. Here's a gaggle of cars, if you will, and right in the middle of them is the 3rd place car of Ryan Briscoe. Ahead of him is Charlie Kimball. Behind Briscoe is Franchitti and Dixon.
Kimball, of course, a lap down.
Back in 26th position. Here's a pretty impressive statistic. Elio Castroneves is tied with Bobby Unser and Emerson Fittipaldi for consecutive years with a win on a road course. And J.R. Hildebrand is going to make his 2nd pit stop. Lindy, he's there with you.
And you remember he was one of the ones that pitted early. He's just going to do black tires. He says the car feels good and wants no changes. He's now at 8.7.
It's a lap down now.
Yep.
And we haven't heard from another member of our broadcast team since the race started, and that would be Robin Miller. What's on your mind, sir?
Bobby, you know, I'm pretty good at counting crowds, I think, because I was taught by Dave Cassidy at the Speedway who was the best. And if they said there were 30,000 people at Loudon, there's 130,000 here. This is the best crowd they've had by far at this racetrack. I think there's probably 25 to 30,000 people here. Is that enough to make money? I don't think anybody knows. I just asked Randy Bernard, I said, can these guys come back next year on the schedule? Because the schedule's not made up yet. And he said, it's up to Sonoma whether they want to pay the sanction fee and come back, but they need to find a title sponsor to try and at least break even and make a little bit of money. But right now, I'd say it's a pretty damn good crowd for a road course race in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and it's fun to come out here. That's the great thing about coming to Sonoma. Beautiful countryside, flying into San Francisco and seeing them race on this particular racetrack.
Not to mention, it's a fun place to drive. It's a blast to drive on this racetrack.
Yeah. Nice and smooth here. Just smooth her down.
Pretty good battle here as Dario is right there behind Ryan Briscoe. And then a few car links back to Scott Dixon. All right, nonstop for you. You can watch the action as we go to break here at the 35 lap completed mark. Power, your leader. The master of the road courses, Will Power, at work, showing you in X-Mo, getting around this 2.3-mile road course at Infineon Raceway. He has been the dominant factor so far. His teammate, however, Helio Castroneves, still is not very far behind. And we are nearing the halfway point of this race, and we have had only 2 lap leaders, and that came when Power made his pit stop.
Well, Castroneves has used more overtakes compared to Power. He's down to 9 compared to 13.
You mentioned that X-Mo, Bob. That is such a great shot when you can actually see how many tear-offs Will Power still had. He still had a couple of tear-offs left. That is an awesome way to zoom in and get a really close look at these cars.
Don't need any when you're leading all the whole race.
That's why you don't have to tear them off.
Helio Castroneves won here in 2008. His best finish this year has been a second at Edmonton, needing a victory for Team Penske. Back elsewhere on the racetrack, it is Sebastian Bourdais and Graham Rahal battling for the 9th position. Bourdais driving for Dale Coyne on the left of your screen, the Boy Scouts sponsored car.
And he said this morning that this was going to be possibly the toughest race of the year from a mental standpoint of trying to keep the car on the track the way that the tires are going.
Takuma Sato makes a pit stop. He was running in 17th, putting on the reds and moves away in 7.7 seconds. As both Power and Castroneves go by him, he'll come out right behind Helio.
Jimmy Vasser does a lot of coaching for Sato. I talked to him about that today, did Takuma, and he said it's not like he's so much telling me how to drive. He's just really a cheerleader, always trying to encourage and keep me motivated.
But some drivers like that and need that. Some guys don't want to hear anything.
Like me.
Like me.
Like, quiet! I got something to do out here.
Bad enough listening to the producer.
Power has shaved the advantage to 26 points if we were finished at this point, and we are not, of course, but it's looking as if Power will make a big move here if he can hang on to win.
A lot of that has to do with what we talked about in the Open, and that is the 3 Penske cars, and Briscoe now has turned into the person who has to try and keep Dario back. There's a big gap between these two and Briscoe, and he has to take and just try to keep the kind of pace to keep that point spread. I mean, that's his goal right now since he can't go for the lead.
Here's Oriol Servia running in 12th spot. Ryan Hunter-Ray right behind him. And Martin Plowman also is in the battle there for the 12th position.
Well, and the point on Briscoe, guys, he's turning times about as fast as the leader, so he's not holding up Dario Franchitti, but they're clearly aware as you watch a 2 and 28 battle on the track right now. This morning, Dario Franchitti and Ryan Briscoe had a little bit of a misunderstanding about who was giving who room, who should have given who a little bit more room, and when Dario got out of his car, he went straight over to talk to Ryan Briscoe, and now Tony Kanaan coming in very slow, guys.
Yeah, this is not a routine pit stop. That car doesn't appear to have power, does it?
No.
He was the first to hit pit road. Do you remember that?
Yep. Yep. So the crew goes to his aid and will get him into his pit box, but this does not look good for Tony.
Now, he's already made 2 stops. It's only been 6 laps since he last pitted, so it's not like he
not out of fuel.
Ran out of fuel. Right. So he has made a second pit stop, but this is something, yeah, they're going to the engine area. Kevin?
I just heard Tony on the radio say it's stuck at full throttle, and as you can see, they are taking a look, but this is a significant issue for Tony Kanaan.
I would say
that would be an understatement, yes.
I think you're right.
And remember, he's operating this weekend with a new engineer, Michael Cannon, who had been with him all season, is no longer with the team.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Not a good place. And by the way, that is why, if your throttle was stuck and that's what will happen. The reason that they turn and take the short course is they did not feel there was enough runoff, as you can see behind the old turn 11, if you want to call it that. They felt if they did ever have someone with a stuck throttle, there wasn't enough runoff, hence the fact they take the short course.
Not a good situation for Tony Kanaan. Well, Will Power has now led half of the total laps, and that allows him to clinch all 3 bonus points that will be awarded this weekend. He, of course, won the 1 point for winning the pole position yesterday, and he gets 2 points for leading the most laps here today. Here is Ryan, and there is Dario right behind him.
And that was the story that Marty was telling us just before we saw Kanaan in trouble.
1.7. Nice and smooth. Good work. Are you tired?
But he's not close enough to even be concerned about giving him enough room at this point.
But from a team perspective, there's nothing, this couldn't go any better.
Perfect. Yep.
For Penske.
34 to go.
They're running in 3rd and 4th position. We're past the halfway mark here at Infineon Raceway. It has been the Will Power Show since the drop of the green flag.
Will Power leads at Infineon Raceway. Tony Kanaan, unfortunately, for the 2nd straight race, out early. What happened, TK?
Throttle cable broke, and we lost the throttle. So it's unfortunate, but honestly, Kevin, it just it pulled me out of my misery because we didn't have the right car. I was trying to hang in there. I mean, I feel sorry for the guys and for the 82 car because we've been having a strong season, but a lot of ups and downs. So mechanical failure, but we were not good today. So time to turn the page and move on.
Okay, unfortunately, a quick exit again for Tony Kanaan.
Yeah, that was a scary crash he had at New Hampshire a couple of weeks ago, and has another early out here today. We're watching Alex Tagliani and James Jakes contest a position, and that would be for the 18th spot. Tags running 18th, and James Jakes running in.
Wow, Jakes has got a good run on him right here, so he may take a look.
He's
got a no. Not enough.
Jakes had a real good run in the warm-up earlier today.
Teammates to Sebastian Bourdais.
Yep.
And he knows the leader's right behind him, so he's like, this might be a great opportunity to get by Tagliani.
And a lap ago, in turn number 7, Will Power had to lock him up.
And you see that little lock how far it took him off his line.
Because you got to get off the brakes. He has to let the brakes off, because if you keep that locked up, you're going to fry that front tire and get a flat spot on.
And by getting the brakes off early, you're carrying more speed in there than you really want to. So that's why he kind of blew out wide in that corner.
Now it'll be interesting to see Will maneuver around this slower traffic and whether Elio can close in. Elio is 4 seconds behind Will.
Hampshire Nevis is running the same laps. I don't know how all of a sudden he lost all this time. He was right behind him. They're running exactly the same lap times, and he just gapped them somewhere.
James Jakes is allowed to fight to stay on the lead lap. So he doesn't have to move over and let the leaders go through, and he's going to be highly motivated to use that.
Well, that's what Hampshire Nevis needs.
Yes.
He needs these guys to give Power a hard time.
If we go the early window, we're going to have to run another probably 6 or 7 laps in the last set, just so you know.
Pagano and Sato.
Yes. Now, you heard in the background Tim Cindric while Will Power was trying to negotiate that, he said, I want the reds. He was talking to Tim Cindric, and he said, but we're on the early strategy. Remember, they don't want to get caught by a caution like's happened 2 other times this year. You're going to have to run on them longer. So we heard the actual strategy playing out, them discussing it on the radio.
Between first and second is Ho Pin Tung, who is the first car not on the lead lap in 20th spot.
And guys, they've also been trying to calm Will Power down. He wasn't happy with how some of the lap cars were treating the leaders as they came through. As you mentioned, that's their right to try and stay on the lead lap, but trying to keep them calm, trying to dole out the strategy, and also decide, do you want reds or blacks on this final stop? I think most of the leaders will go with reds.
Yeah, Castroneves picked up a lot of time when Power had a little bit of trouble there. That's the thing. If you can get a break in traffic, that's free real estate.
Simone Pagenaud having no trouble apparently staying with Castroneves. Conway, Serbia, Ryan Hunter-Reay. If anybody...
There you go.
Yeah, music to my ears.
It's a little on the early side. If someone does pit now, they're going to go into fuel save mode. You really want to wait for 3 more laps to be solidly in the window.
Again, this is 12th and 13th. Oriole Serbia in blue and white, and Ryan Hunter-Reay in red, white, and red, yellow, and white. And Martin Plowman also behind Hunter-Reay. Martin has had a good race. He's on the lead lap in 14th spot.
We mentioned earlier the 2 winners from Loudon, depending on which side of the fence you're on.
Right.
And you talk about how fun this racetrack is to drive. When you see 4 cars in the shot and you weave back down from turn 7, Wally, that's just a great feeling, and that change of direction is so important.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you busy, but, you know, this is just one of those road courses that has everything.
Serbia in for pit stop. Giving up the 12th position. Kevin Lee will call this stop from Oriole Serbia.
Around the corner, here comes Oriole Serbia at 60 miles an hour. He's got an easy in, no traffic on pit lane right now. He's been happy with the car. He says they have been struggling in traffic at times. They will be good to go the rest of the way. They come in, they make their last stop, and Serbia is away. Will Power is our leader, working on lap 47 of 75 from Infineon Raceway. Stay with us from Sonoma on Versus.
Giorgio Pontino slams the accelerator, having made his pit stop, second pit stop. He gave up 6th position to make the stop, doing a great job for the Dreyer and Reinbold team in substitution for the injured Justin Wilson. Giorgio Pontino from Italy.
And we should give our regards to Justin. I'm sure he's watching, wishing that he was in this car. And Justin, we wish you a speedy recovery.
Hating to see anyone in his car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Carver, that's the last thing you want to see.
Marco Andretti was running 15th. He's in for a stop.
Wow, that was a lot of front wing. That was Castroneves coming in.
So the second place car now makes a pit stop.
Castroneves last pitted after lap 25, so the same stint this time. He is within the window, so he'll go the rest of the way. A nice clean stop and a straight exit for Elio Castroneves.
Less than 8 seconds for Elio.
Dixon in.
Here's where he's got to make up his time.
That worked for him last time, remember? He pitted early, it worked.
Marty?
Dixon leading with red tires on this time, Bob. He said there's just no grip on the track, but he did want the reds. He knows they're so much faster, but he got to hang on at the end of this run.
25 laps to go in this race. Here comes E.J. Viso and Sebastian Bourdais, both in. Bourdais on the right. Viso is done, and now both of them are away.
Nice drag race. Yeah. Oh!
60 miles an hour is the speed limit down through here.
And if Sebastian gets by, that'll be a change of position, and he did it in the pits, and here comes the leader.
Marty Snyder, here he is.
Your leader, Will Power, coming down. He did have that little incident with some lap cars, but otherwise the chassis is just perfect. They want no changes to it. It's going to be scuffed red tires that they have worked on earlier in the week. Getting him back out on pit road Dario trying to see if he can cycle out, continue with the lead. This time nobody else on pit road. They hold him for just a second, and he leaves. A nice stop for the 12 team.
And right behind him is Dario.
And Dario Franchitti hits hit pit road. His car's a little bit too much understeer. They make an air pressure adjustment. It'll be 4 tires and him too. He too will be on the reds as he heads back out.
Marty, why that was happening, you just saw Castro Neves flash by, so he did not catch Will Power in that pit sequence. Will Power back out.
James Hinchcliffe gives up his 6th position for his stop.
And Bob, he lost a lot of time at the end of that run. It'll be scuff red tires for Hinch. A lot of debate on blacks or reds for this team, but Hinch said, I need the reds. Clearly, they're faster for everybody. He's back out on the racetrack.
Ray and Rahal also is in the pits.
Watch for Dan. Watch Dan.
Ryan Briscoe is the leader as these pit stops are being made. He was one of the last to pit in the first sequence.
And last time that didn't work that well for Ryan Briscoe. So if he wants to keep that position on Franchitti, he really has to make hay. Now he is on pit road. But watch Franchitti. This could be an opportunity for Franchitti to finally get by Briscoe because Franchitti's already had his service.
4, 3, 2, 1, shallow. Nice and easy here.
And their hope at the end of this run is that the blacks would last a little bit better than the reds did at the end of the run. This will be scuff reds for Ryan Briscoe. Again, trying to stay in front of Dario Franchitti. A quick stop for the Penske team. We'll see if he cycles out ahead of that 10 car.
And the 10 car's coming. There goes Castro Neves, but he gets out clearly ahead of Dario Franchitti. So that strategy worked well.
There's Franchitti coming along with Hope and Tongue in the 88 car.
Now, normally, Wally, that's what you expect. If you go later, it's an advantage. We didn't see that in the first round, but it definitely worked in the traditional way in round 2. That's the way.
He made up a lot of ground on those front 2 cars, so you're right. It did work this time.
Well, I think it was Yell's point earlier because when you're on the reds at the end of a run, you just were giving up too much time, and it really didn't work. Ryan Hunter-Reay on pit road now.
Waiting for all the fuel.
All clear. Yellow light. Korea coming up the hill now.
Yeah, and Castro, you know, we talked earlier about Castro Neves using those push to pass, those overtakes. He's down to 3.
Now here you've got Servia up to speed. Ryan Hunter-Reay having just left the pits. And will Servia try a dive bomb down here? Nope.
No, but I bet he tries to set up. Oh, see, he lost that a little bit. I was going to say he was going to set him up, but he lost too much ground here in the carousel, getting to the carousel.
Those are the 2 that finished first and second at New Hampshire 2 weeks ago, with Ryan Hunter-Reay after a dispute being given the win of the race, and Servia in second.
He's on cold tires.
Take advantage if you can. Just about 23 laps remain in this contest here at Infineon Raceway in Sonoma. The leader is Will Power. There is Will Power, Marty.
And Tim Cindric has just given the word to Will Power. Do not worry about fuel. Do not worry about your tires. Run as hard as you want. He's trying to become the 4th straight man to start on the pole and win the race here, which made us think, okay, Penske won last night at Bristol with Brad Keselowski. When was the last time they won a NASCAR race and an IndyCar race in the same weekend? Believe it or not, you have to go back to June of 2000. Jeremy Mayfield won at Pocono. Elio Castroneves won at Belle Isle. Brad Keselowski wins last night. Maybe it's another win for Penske today here in IndyCar. What do you think, Bob?
That's pretty hard to believe.
Yeah, it is.
11 years. Hard to believe, isn't it?
That was an impressive performance last night at Bristol Motor Speedway. There are the statistics. Mayfield and Castroneves.
And you see
2000.
Belle Isle, of course, there's talk about Belle Isle having a shot at returning. We've been told it's 50-50.
50-50, yep.
Not on the top of the list, but there's potential for that race coming back.
I always enjoyed going there. It was on Belle Isle, which is pretty much in the downtown area. The people there were just really friendly. And, of course, when the economic situation came on, the race was decided that was not going to be held, but hopefully it will be back on the schedule before long. Here's Sato, Conway, Plowman, and Saavedra. This is 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th.
And Saavedra really pulled up to that group in the last couple laps.
Sebastian Saavedra came into the weekend with the car not handling well at all. He said it's not braking well, not accelerating well, not turning well in the slow speed corners. Other than that, all is well. But it's actually gotten a lot better. He said it felt good yesterday, felt good today, and he has Roberto Guerrero, who's a mentor here as a spotter and also as a driver coach. He felt pretty good coming into this race this morning.
I give a call out to Plowman, too. He's done a really good job today.
Yep. Only his second race. J.R. Hildebrand will make yet another pit stop.
There's a problem. Anytime you see one of the fronts locking up, it means you have a puncture at the rear. That's Marco. Marco.
Contact.
Yes. Yep. That is a front wing to a rear tire.
Yep.
And then when your tire starts to go down,
look at the left front.
Oh, yeah.
It's off the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lindy.
And they just are very disappointed with that flat rear tire and really his race altogether. Not the race this hometown boy wanted at his home track, Bob.
Yeah. He's got a lot of people here today rooting for him because, again, he is from Sausalito, California, just down the road here between here and the Golden Gate Bridge.
There's got to be quite a bit of damage on that left front wing of Marco's car as well.
You can see it flap up and come back down again. And
you see on the
big damage.
Yeah.
It just peeled the skin off. That's what we saw during that contact. It just fly up in the air, come back down again.
Elio gets around Marco.
Well, Marco's got to come in and probably get that. Yeah. you need.
He didn't.
No, he didn't.
He heard it, but he.
20 laps.
You lose so much front grip with the wing like that. It's a long way to go to have the car not turn.
Yeah. And now it's dragging.
Marco is a lap down in 19th with 18 laps to go.
I would say as bad as these tires are falling off, you want everything you can get. Not having that front wing is going to be tough.
Laps winding down here with just 18 to go now. With first and second running very close together now. Will Power and Elio Castroneves. 1 and 2 here at Infineon. Marco Andretti is on pit lane, getting that front wing that he broke when he had contact with J.R. Hildebrand. Now it is repaired, and Marco goes back out onto the racetrack. Will Power has a 1.2, make that 1.3 second advantage on Elio Castroneves as they continue to run in the same order they have been. Briscoe third, then Franchitti and Scott Dixon. Giorgio Pontano is running in sixth spot. He's doing a great job as Marco gets up to speed and catches up to the rest of the field. And we welcome to the booth, although we really hate to. You scared me to death 2 weeks ago, Tony Kanaan, when you were out of the race early, and now a mechanical problem today, huh?
Yeah, I have to say, Bob, it did put me out of my misery today. I think Wally and Jan here can relate it. When you're having a bad day like I was actually not that sad that we had a mechanical today.
When you work with Jenkins, it's like that every day.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, Tony, I'd like for everybody to listen to somebody about how the difference between the reds and the blacks, other than taking it from me, who has tons of useless information. From a driver's perspective here, when you get off the reds to the blacks, what's it really like? I mean, how big of it's a 2-second difference. What I'm trying to explain, that's a big difference in a race car.
It is a big difference. So you have to understand that when you're doing that, you have a softer tire, which is the red. It changes the ride height of the car, the way you run the car high and low in the racetrack. And you're putting a lot more load on the brake pedal, you're using more brakes, you have a chance to actually touch on the braking more. So you go from a very high grip tire that will not last as long as the blacks, then you put the blacks on, you have to change your drive style, you got to change your braking points, you change
you're aligned a little bit. It's two completely different race cars.
It's almost like when you're on the blacks, it's almost like you're doing things more in slow motion.
You have to back out.
Right.
If you're driving 90%, you got to drive 60% because it's not going to take it. So it's really hard, and it's making the race more exciting. But for us, I mean, you don't want to see people in the blacks.
Yeah.
Hey, TK.
Hey, Robin.
Listen, tell us the truth. Have you re-upped with KB Racing for several $1 million next year?
I wish. I mean, we're still talking, but I know somebody said we're signed, but I'll see it when I'll believe when I see it, Robin. No, yeah, we're close. I think we're talking. I don't see another reason for me not to stay there, because we're doing, on and off a great job off the start that we had. So, well, here we go. We have a pass here.
Plowman around TK's teammate Sato, and Saavedra tries
over the curb.
But Sato holds off that challenge, but Plowman picked up the position. He moves to 13th.
That was nice. Over the curb, throwing some correction. That was cool.
Nice pass.
Oh, and then he goes off course.
Now he's going to have to give up that position.
Oh, man.
He might not give it up. He may be.
Well,
Sato's going to try.
Yeah, but he's going to have to.
No, he backed out. I mean, he might not, because he didn't gain anything. He waited it. Sato is right there in the same distance. But they might let him go.
But remember, in the drivers' meeting, they said if you go through there to maintain position, they're not going to let you do it.
Yes, but which is maybe you're right, but Sato wasn't trying to pass him at the time. So maybe Brian will let him get away with it. But it's. I don't see. Here you go.
We'll see what they do.
Doing a great lap time. Just do what you can for me.
So it sounds like race control believes.
There you go.
That, in fact, he was far enough ahead, just like you said, Tony.
Yep. He waited it a little bit, and then he was far enough ahead. He waited. Sato caught him back, and now obviously he has a better car. He took off. I think Saavedra is going to try to pass Sato right here. That's the best place to pass at the racetrack.
There he goes.
And he will take the spot. Yep.
And Sato might lose the position to Conway as well.
Yep. So Sato drops from 13th to 15th in the last 2 laps.
The thing is, some of these guys have a fresher sets of reds than Sato, because we went off strategy. So Sato is definitely going to struggle until the end of the race now. 13 laps here, especially with the tire wear that we're having, it's going to be tough.
What do you hear about Baltimore, where we'll be in a week from today?
I haven't heard a lot. Hopefully the hurricane didn't make a lot of damage there, but being a street course is definitely going to be tough, on the tires as well. I mean, obviously it's a different tire than here, Bob, so hopefully it will be a better race here.
Marty.
Well, 12 laps to go, Bob, and this has been a perfect day for Penske Racing, running 1, 2, 3. You see Ryan Briscoe, and the man who made the calls for Ryan Briscoe today, of course, Roger Penske. And where was he last night? Co-spotting for Brad Keselowski, getting him to the win. So looks like it's going to be a perfect day for Penske Racing. He got here at 3 a.m., got about 3 hours of sleep, but that's okay. Looks like his cars are going to wind up 1, 2, 3 today. Closing in on the final few laps here at Infineon, Will Power is out front. His Penske teammates right behind him. We'll see if Power can hold on for the win.
Just a little more than 10 laps now to go, and the leader of the race, and watch this action up in front of the leader.
And this is what Power does not want to see.
Yeah.
He does not want to have to get through this much traffic, because when he looks in his mirror, he's got...
and Ho Pin Tung is in the tires and in the wall.
I don't think they're going to go yellow.
No, this could be a full. It is a full course caution, and I had the statistic ready, and I didn't get to read it. This race here at Sonoma in 1970, the race that was won by Dan Gurney, was run caution-free. But since then, since the IZOD IndyCar Series returned in 2005, the fewest cautions were in 2008 when there was one, and there's going to be at least one here this weekend, because Ho Pin Tung was right behind Alex Tagliani, and this is what happened.
What happened there, Bob? It was, obviously he was too close to Tagliani. When he braked, he didn't have enough downforce. That's the most difficult braking point on the racetrack, when the car gets really light because of the elevation of the track. And Tag braked a little earlier, and then I think, he didn't want to hit him and tried to avoid it and crashed.
Now the numbers on that, 160 miles an hour on the approach and almost 4 Gs on the brake. Like you say, Tony, that is a very heavy brake.
And yeah, in that corner, I mean, over the chicane, you get a knockback on the pedal. A knockback in the pedal is the pads, they pull away from the rotor, and you have to pump your brakes a little bit right after the crest when you're going downhill. So you have the effect of the brake pedal going down, the tracks going down, and the most hard braking point on the racetrack. It's really tough.
Johnny Rutherford and the pace car on the track. We're going to have a restart with just a few laps to go here at Infineon. It's Will Power, but now the advantage closes in. We are under our first full course caution here at Infineon Raceway, and we have 9, make that 8 laps to go. Ho Pin Tung into the tires. And our first full course caution, and now we get set for the restart, and this is going to be good. Where will the restart be, Jan?
Well, there was a big debate in the drivers' meeting about a line here that is delineated by these cones on the wall, cones on the racetrack, and that is not a zone. They said when you get here, the leader steps on it. Well, Will Power said, wait a minute, everyone knows when I'm going to gas it, they can take advantage of me and pass me. They said, too bad, that's the way it's going to be. He was fired up, and now it's going to come into play.
And I thought if I was Helio, he's going to try to take it. I talked to Helio for a long time this morning during the fog delay, and obviously he's not going to play dirty because he still hasn't signed his contract with Penske yet, but Helio's going to try to win. If I was Will right now, I would pick the right side to start.
You know what, Tony? I know you said that in the commercial break. The only thing I'd be concerned about the outside is how dirty is that outside up along the wall right now.
Yeah, but if you get a jump start where
if you can get
he
a jump,
anticipates Helio, and then he can pull away from
and
him.
he is your teammate.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So Roger might come in the radio and say, hey, Helio, remember, we're talking about contracts.
We're really close.
We're close.
Well, yesterday after qualifying, Elio had a piece of paper and listed out all his sponsors, wanted to be sure he got them all on. That's a guy who's negotiating a new deal.
There you go.
Well, the Penske drivers are running first, second, and third here today. Power, Castro, Nevis, and Briscoe. And the last time they finished first, second, and third for Team Penske was way back in 1994 at Nazareth. Marty.
And Will Power certainly hoping it finishes this way. He has his good luck charm here this year. It's a young man named Brian McInerney. He actually has cerebral palsy. He's from the Bay Area. They met last year at an autograph appearance. He didn't have tickets, so Will Power went to his hip, bought the tickets for Brian and his family to come to the race. And you see there, they invited him to Victory Lane. He's back this year. There he is on Friday or Saturday after he won the Peak Pole Award in Victory Lane with them once again. They're hoping the good luck charm works once again and helps him get back to Victory Lane. 1 to go, guys.
Now that is cool,
That's pretty
TK.
cool, yeah.
I mean, it's nice that we get to get somebody that it's just a fan, and you can give them a ticket and they can come and meet us. And I mean, I love this kind of things. You know, sometimes we complain about having bad days and bad races, and when you see a kid that happy, you change your prospect for sure.
Yep. All right, Kevin.
Leo Castro-Neves is around 2 teammates. He was just told 1, 2, and 3 are all Penske's. Take care of your teammates.
Here you go.
Number 1 rule in racing.
So it really doesn't matter where you start, inside or outside, because you know you're pretty much going to get the jump and go.
Remember the restart at Long Beach.
Look out for your teammates.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
that.
Can you guys play that on Helio's radio right now?
I remember at the time we were saying, he took out his teammate. Can't believe it.
I tell you what I think Will is going to do. He's going to go a little bit earlier than the cone just to be safe.
He can't do that. He's not allowed to do that, Tony.
I'm telling you, that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
This is Giorgio Pontino, who's in 6th position. He's having a great race. There's Briscoe, 3rd.
I'll say something about Briscoe, too. He's had his hand. I mean, he's done a good job because he's kept Franchitti behind him all day.
Oh, yeah.
And he has driven probably harder than anybody out there today because I know he's thinking about that.
And now he has to let Franchitti next to him.
Yeah.
All day he's kept him behind. They have a double file restart. And he's going to have to let him. He's going to have to get moving.
And remember, guys, he's been the one who's probably the most vocal that his red tires have fallen off the most at the end of a run as well.
I'll be surprised if nothing happens on this restart, to be honest with you.
Why would you say that?
Because it's 7 laps to go, or 7 to go, and everybody's going to get excited. That's the only chance you're going to have to pass because it's really hard to pass, and people are going to try.
Well,
The point spread right now is 26. Power 26 behind Franchitti, but we have coming up to 6 laps to go. They will line up side by side. Helio Castroneves trying to get his first win of 2011 over his teammate. And we're going to get the restart very quickly here. They're using the long course again for the restart like they did for the start of the race. And here we go.
Whoa.
That is ahead already.
Watch the cones. He's waiting.
Oh, that was a nice one.
That was.
He followed the rules. Let's see how it shakes out.
Will's going to get the advantage. Look at Briscoe. Look at Briscoe.
Hey, yikes.
Oh, couldn't do it.
Clear, all clear.
And Dixon taking a look at the inside of Franchitti.
Oh, Sato had to jam the brakes on.
All right, you're clear.
We're not through it yet.
Man, the boys behaved.
Yeah,
Bourdais.
Bourdais and Pontino.
They were close, yeah.
Yep. Look at that accordion effect as they come down into 4.
Boy, they touch. Danica touch with whoever's behind there. Hildebrand.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it wasn't.
Well, there you go. And the battle is between
Now does Dixon have to stay behind Franchitti?
No,
I don't know.
Dixon's going to
Dario's
try.
in trouble. Dario got a wiggle. Is Dixon going to go for it?
Nope. Dixon locks him up. Power, meanwhile, starts once again his separation between himself and Castroneves. And
whoa!
He really dove in there.
Sato to the inside of James Jakes.
Good job.
Those guys are a lap down.
Yeah, and he's almost hit Dixon.
Those guys are a lap down, but that was for position 18th spot to be exact.
Whatever it takes. Tony, we talked about what would Will Power do. Look at this as they come to the cones.
Oh, that
you
was...
cannot ask. That is
was a
picture perfect.
That was perfect start.
This is Oriol Serbia.
Marco around the outside.
Nice.
Wow. Whoa! Man. Wow, that's some rubber there.
Didn't break on that.
They took the red Marco's tire. He has 3 reds and 1 black now.
That was not just a casual rub. I mean, that was kablamo.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Marco is a lap down against Oreo that is running in the top 12.
Now that you've seen the replay back from Loudon and the 3 of you were together and Marco was in there as well, what do you think now you've seen it?
I mean, some people said I squeezed both of them up, but to be honest, I mean, we have a rule in racing: the third man in should be the first man out. So it's hard to say which one. I know I was totally on the inside, but I mean, obviously, when you come in on that quick like Scheckter was, he should have been watching. But having to defend Scheckter on that one a little bit, Marco was a couple laps down. So I mean, it was just, it's really tough to say, Jan. But you know, I'll take the blame when I make mistakes. And on that one, I was all the way to the inside, and I told those 2, you guys decide whoever did what.
Yeah.
But, thank God there was no Porta-Johns here that I could hit.
Less than 4 laps to go. They begin to get a little bit spread out. And TK, I want to ask you about something. Jan and I and several other members of the team here attended the movie Senna the other night and was very impressed. Just a great movie about one of your fellow countrymen.
It is. I mean, I think in America, obviously, if you're not a huge race fan or Formula One fan, people have no idea who Senna was, and I think the movie definitely shows who he was, how big of a hero he was, what he's done for our country, and make people so proud to be Brazilian just because a country like ours has so much poverty. When a guy brings so much joy on that, it's you know, it's amazing. So whoever hasn't watched it, you guys should go because it's awesome.
I totally agree.
Vizo had a nice battle with
Yes.
Yeah.
Saw Graham Rahal get 2 wheels off again in that same place at the bottom of the carousel as well.
That's Ryan Hunter-Reay looking to the inside of Hildebrand.
Which JR should let him go. He's a lap down.
Yeah. Ryan Hunter-Reay's running 11th.
Whoa. When someone
Pagano just bit.
When someone pits, it always gives you that impression that they totally missed the corner.
And it's a drive-through, I guess. But it's the worst feeling, Jan, because if you're actually following someone, you miss the braking point. Because the guy goes straight and you're in his reference, and you're like, whoa.
Simone Pagano was given a drive-through penalty by race control for passing the leader under caution. So there is the drive-through, and Simone is back on the racetrack.
Passing the leader.
Well, remember, he was fighting to stay on the lead lap. They must have passed him.
And then when yellow, he passed him
just
back.
before yellow, and he thought, oh, I was ahead of you.
Yeah.
Or nobody's looking. And they disagreed.
Yeah, they can't see it.
Anyway, a good battle here between...
Ciora has a black right rear, a left rear as well, because of that.
Two guys who ran first and second 2 weeks ago are running 11th and 12th here this week, right behind the leader or the winner of the Loudon race.
I have to say, Bob, Plowman and Saavedra are doing a great job as the rookies, you know, including B. I mean, they're running pretty strong all day.
Martin Plowman was fastest in the Friday practice, wasn't he?
But he put red tires on, and a lot of us didn't. But still, it still did a 79 flat, which was quite fast, you know.
That's still the one you take home and put on the wall.
Exactly. I have one of those. Back in '98, it was Zanardi, Jimmy Vasser, Bobby Rahal. I kind of erased the Pratic's name. I didn't put it what it was.
Yeah, I just used the first column.
Exactly.
Sato is still
really putting the pressure on him, isn't he?
That's not for position.
And he has nothing to gain right now because he's not going to lap the whole field and pass anybody.
Earlier, Jimmy Vasser was on the radio. Calm down, calm down, calm down.
And now, if I was Sato, I would just hang on in a way because Dixon, it's sitting there at 6. So
now these are for position though back here. This is
big time.
Good hot battles here.
That's Hinchcliffe and Rahal, 8th and 9th.
Pontino and Bourdais as well.
Yep. And we are on the final lap of the race. The white flag has already been given to the leader, Will Power. He approaches the place where he had the bad accident 2 years ago, came back from that and won last year, and it appears as if he's going to put together back-to-back wins here at Infineon.
It's the first time that's going to happen since we came back here, since 05. We had a different winner every year.
Oh, when we've got Saavedra up on the bank. Wow.
And someone else. Is that Conway?
That's Conway.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to try and bring it home.
Looks like both cars are going to keep going. And Will Power is in the S's on his way to the checkered flag.
See how high Saavedra went on that bank?
Yeah. We will see a replay of it after we see Will Power win his 14th career victory. A powerful wind has come through the Sonoma Valley and has carried Will Power to victory here at Infineon Raceway. Castroneves second. Here is Briscoe third. And here is
Pontino to the inside.
Nice pass.
Forcing Bourdais way high.
I don't think Bourdais liked that very much.
That was a gesture. I wonder how many. What kind of gesture?
Pontino's going to finish 6th, followed by Bourdais, Hinchcliffe, Rahal, and Viso, the top 10. The 5th win of the year for Will Power. He leads all drivers, and 3 of the wins have come from the pole position as he gets a salute from his teammate, Ryan Briscoe, and it's his 2nd consecutive win. here at Sonoma. Will, over the last 2 years, has led 144 of 160 laps. Here is the accident on the final lap of the race. Let's see what happened. That's Saavedra and Conway, wheel to wheel. Oh, wow.
Saavedra just unwound too much. He
didn't. I don't even know if he knew he was there.
Well, he had to. He just went to the inside of
He
him.
just tried to play difficult, and that's really stupid in the last lap. He should, especially for 14th. Look at that.
You can't fault Conway there. Conway, you can't go any wider. It was a great pass on entry, but then you got to finish it.
And he went way up on the bank, as you said, Tony.
I think
he's hanging out there.
He was trying to just squeeze Conway out, which is...
All right, Lindy's with Tim Cindric.
And Will's second win here, but first with Tim Cindric talking to him. Now, you worked with Elio for a long time. Did you feel like you knew how he was going to play it on that restart?
Yeah, I mean, Elio, he wants to win for sure, and we saw that at Edmonton. And, for Penske to have a 1-2-3 today and, Verizon to have their car win with everything that's going on the East Coast and that type of thing, it was a huge day for us. And obviously in the championship for Will, it puts us in a much better position.
You were on the scuffed reds, a little worried about the wear. Did that concern you in that restart?
The biggest concern we had was just if there was a restart, making sure that we had the best reds, because we knew that they were going to be used, and obviously everybody else went to that strategy as well, but we also wanted to make sure that we had the best ones going to the restart, which Will usually does a great job of taking care of his tires. And like I said, for us to have a 1-2-3 here, it's great.
Go celebrate, Tim. Thank you.
Tim Cindric speaking on behalf of Team Penske, and specifically Will Power, who beats Elio, Briscoe, Franchitti, and Dixon, and the point spread now is just 26. The battle for the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Championship continues, and Will Power has put another win in the column, and he has closed in the points. Here is Marty Snyder in victory lane.
Well, and he told us in the pre-race show today that he had a better car than the Ganassi camp, that in fact all of Penske had a better cars than the Ganassi camp, and there's the jump off the car, and he wasn't kidding. Wow, have you ever been a part of such a dominant team performance as this one?
That is just the best weekend you could ever have. Team performance, unbelievable.
What about it was so good for you guys? How were you able to do 1-2-3 in qualifying and 1-2-3 in the race?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a perfect race. We said if it stays green, could almost guarantee that that's how it would finish. So it's exactly what happened, man. Verizon, baby, back on top again.
Were you worried about your teammates on that final restart? I know you were thinking, oh, does this caution really have to come out now?
Oh, I was actually happy for the caution because I had a lot of lap cars. That was worse. But I knew that, Elio and Ryan are pretty smart on restarts, and I thought, that's going to guarantee us a win if we just get through that first corner cleanly.
In terms of the championship, you cut 21 off this weekend. It's now 26 points. How well timed was this for that?
That's perfect. Very, very, like you said, man, before the race, this one's pretty important. But, now we've got 2 more road courses, 2 more ovals, and it's real happy.
You know what? Last year you met a young man here, Brian McInerney, and he's behind you over there on your left. And I tell you what, he's your good luck charm. You may have to bring him to every race this year.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's been wearing my gloves. I bet you he wore my gloves the whole race like he did in qualifying. But, man, I have to thank Verizon, Maya, V-Power, IZOD, I mean, all these sponsors that make this possible. Really, really stoked.
What a huge weekend for Penske and for Will Power. He cuts that lead to 26 points. Kevin?
Marty, Will Power rolled off the sponsors off the top of his head. Our friend Elio Castroneves has cue cards here for his sponsors. Great run today.
All right, you guys ready? Guide point system, Shell V Power, AAA Insurance, Comfort Revolution, Penske Truck Rent, PTC, the fans, the team, my guys, HCA, everyone. Thank you very much, man. It was tough. Will definitely was a class of his own. He could push. He saved a lot of push to pass in the end. I have to use in some of the times to keep pushing, putting pressure on him. But he seemed to be, his car seemed to be a little bit better than all 2 of us between me and Ryan. But hell of a day for Team Penske. 1, 2, 3. First time like me, Ryan, and Will. So this is great. So I'm happy. It's a long time we don't have a result like that. Solid the whole weekend long. So thanks to Team Ron. Good job, man. Those talk between like you and I, it paid off today. Well done, buddy.
A lot of associate sponsors. Elio got them all, Bob.
You bet he did, in short order, too. So Elio finishes second to Will Power, who walks off with his second consecutive victory at Infineon Raceway. Will Power wins, Castroneves second. Ryan Briscoe, however, is the Firestone pit performer, and his team spending a total of 1 minute, 7.5 seconds on pit lane for team owner Roger Penske. Kevin is with the third place finisher.
Great day for the team. First time 1, 2, 3 since Nazareth in 1944 when you were a wee pup. What was the key today for success all around for the team?
I tell you, it was we started 1, 2, 3, and that's how we finished. And we had a plan going into the race, and we stuck to it. But I tell you, it was a pretty hard-fought race. You know, anyone that wanted to come out of the pits in front of me did today. I had so much lap traffic all day long, but my car was great. Fighting a little bit of a loose car, but had Dario in my mirrors. That was the priority. Just keep him behind me, and I was able to. I just want to thank everyone at Team Penske, Penske Truck Rental, IZOD, Shell V-Power, Verizon. You know, we wouldn't be able to do it without them, and this means so much getting to 1, 2, 3 finally. 2 years we've been teammates, us three, and we've come close a few times, and this really does mean a lot.
Good run for Ryan Briscoe, and I may have said 1944. I am aware that Team Penske wasn't competing in 1944. It was 1994. Marty,
yeah,
you're
here's
the boss.
The problem. The boss is about 5 feet from you, and he heard that. So, hey, you straight from Bristol. You don't need more than 3 hours of sleep to celebrate, do you?
No, I'll tell you, with a weekend like this, I never knew when I woke up on Friday what was going to happen this weekend. You know, it's been a long time we've had this kind of run on the IndyCar side. I think it was 1994 when we had the 3 cars, and then last night with both guys running well and Brad picking up that win, it's just an awesome time. It's a credit to all our people, you know, on both sides of the speedway, whether it's IndyCar or the NASCAR side. But I just want to thank Will, and certainly Ellie was right there today, and Brian. What a run here. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, when was the last time the organization was as strong?
Well, there's a lot of competition out here. I think we had a good setup this weekend, and obviously just a little bit better than Ganassi. But, you know, we got to work a lot of work to do. We want to win this championship. We've been ahead and fell behind. Now maybe we're making a surge here. But, you know, Dario and certainly Dixon are outstanding. And when you get on the Cup side, man, it's a whole other story.
All right, go celebrate with your team.
Thanks a million.
All right, Lindy.
And Dario and Scott both finished where they started. Scott, did Penske just find something that you guys couldn't?
I don't know. I didn't really see them much of the day, to be honest. You know, we just struggled. I was thinking that we were going to be better over a long distance, and actually I think we were worse opposed to them. So it was a tough day. You know, it wasn't the best race as far as passing and things going on, but you know, physically in the car, it was all action, arms and elbows. It was left and right. So, you know, it was a tough day, and obviously a big day for Penske 1, 2, 3. So congratulations to them, but we got a little bit of work to do.
And Dario, I didn't want to bring this up to you before the race, but the past 2 years prior, you finished where you started. Did you think you could get Briscoe once you were able to get up beside him for a restart?
Not in the restart, no. It was so difficult to go around the outside. We saw Elio almost crash there. We're trying to go around the outside of Will. It wasn't possible. So I was trying to get him when he made a mistake. He made a couple of mistakes, but I didn't have quite enough to get right the way alongside him. Hit some moments in traffic, but really I spent all day staring at the back wing there. It was Penske Truck Rental the whole time. So as Scott said, tough day for Team Target. The Penske guys were clearly better than we were. We've got some work to do before Baltimore and Japan, and we'll just keep digging.
The back of those cars, not the sights you guys want to see. Dario 4th and Scott 5th. Bob?
Thank you, Lindy. 1944 is something I would have said. Ryan Briscoe moves up 1 of the point standings. TK down 1. Castroneves up 2. 26 points separate 1 and 2. Welcome back to Infineon Raceway, Sonoma, California. Will Power has won the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma, and Giorgio Pontino has been penalized to the last car in the lead lap, 17th, because of this.
He went up the inside, which is something you commonly do in Europe. You cannot do in the IndyCar Series. Because he couldn't serve a drive-through, they moved him to the back of the lead lap. Kevin?
And I told Giorgio of this news when I walked up. All smiles, a 6th place finish, and you're seeing this for the first time. What are you seeing? What are you thinking?
To be honest, I can't believe, because I was just inside on the entry and on the same line on the exit. I don't know, I need to go to speak with the marshal, because to be honest, you just come to tell me, and I can't believe that.
Well, regardless of how this works out, and I'm sure you're going to check into it, it's still a fantastic run.
It's a normal way I'm doing. I didn't do anything. I didn't went wide or something like that. I think I just take my place. That's it.
All right, Giorgio Pontino. Let's go to Marty.
Well, Sebastian, yeah, he finishes 6th. So your take on the contact, was it a fair ruling?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we're not in Europe, and the rule's very straightforward. You know, you cannot change the racing line. He braked on the inside of the last corner.
and pushed me over the rumble strips when I tried to go on the outside. So I think it was a heck of a battle, but I'm glad we came out on top of it.
There you go. He winds up finishing 6th. Like you said, Jan, we're not in Europe. We're racing in the U.S.
And Marty, of course, Sebastian Bourdais has raced a lot in Europe with people like Pontoneau, and he has to change his driving style. When he comes Pontoneau, this is his first experience.
Okay, so it's Power, Castro Neves, and Briscoe finishing 1, 2, 3. Franchitti and Dixon the top 5. Then 6 through 10, Bourdais finishes 6th. Hinchcliffe, a 7th place. He's the highest finishing rookie. Graham Rahal was 8th. E.J. Viso 9th, and Ryan Hunter-Ray finished in 10th position, with Servia 11th and Martin Plowman finishing in 12th. Anna Beatrice and Sebastian Saavedra, another couple of rookies, finished 13th and 14th, and Simone Pagenaud finishes in the 15th position. So it was pretty much a dominating performance here by Will Power this afternoon as he wins the Infineon Raceway IndyCar Grand Prix of Sonoma from the beautiful Sonoma Valley just north of San Francisco. And you can see there in the middle of your screen, just through the fog a little bit, is the Golden Gate Bridge. We appreciate you being here with us this afternoon.